The tension in Bridgeport didn't start in June 2021. By then, the city had already seen young lives lost in violence that later appeared in federal court proceedings tied to the broader gang investigations. In January 2020, Mirica Kenyon was shot and killed. Federal proceedings connected to the East End case later described Jaheim Warren and Trevon Wright in testimony as being involved in that shooting, as part of racketeering and firearms prosecutions, examining the wider conflict. Before that, on July 4th, 2019, Richard McDonald was killed in the Green Homes area. Charles Bonilla was charged in connection with that killing, and his case later became part of the same wave of federal indictments tied to Bridgeport gang investigations. Court records showed these cases as part of a pattern, violence moving back and forth between rival street groups across neighborhoods. Then came a 24-hour stretch that hit especially hard. On June 14th, Shamar Swinton was shot and killed. Swinton was associated with the Terrace area in Bridgeport's North End. He wasn't just another name. He was described as a special cousin of Damoni Lockhart. Less than 24 hours later, on June 15th, Lockhart, just 21 years old with music ambitions and a large family, was shot and killed on Route 8. According to law enforcement intelligence at the time, people associated with Green Homes believed individuals connected to North End groups, including those affiliated with ONE, were responsible for both killings. That belief, whether later proven in court or not, is what authorities said raised fears of retaliation and intensified tensions across the city. By this point, the atmosphere had changed. Violence was no longer seen as staying in one neighborhood. Family ties crossed lines. Street ties did too. Each loss made the situation feel closer, heavier, and that shift didn't stay in the streets alone. It showed up in the music. Y.P. Savage, someone personally affected by Swinton's death, was among the artists whose music during this period carried a different tone, reflecting grief, anger, and the sense that previous understandings in the streets were breaking down. The sound coming out of the city began to mirror the pressure building inside it. Bridgeport wasn't reacting to one event, it was living inside a chain of them, and that chain is what leads us into the next chapter. Although Y.P. Savage reps for the Greens, his roots trace back to the Terrace, the neighborhood where he was raised. That's the same area his father, Shamar Swinton, also known as Chill, had been known in for years. The Terrace wasn't just a place he passed through, it was home, history, and family ties. Early on, you can spot YP in videos alongside ONE, QB, and other artists connected to that side, showing how deep those original neighborhood connections ran. Even his viral freestyle was filmed right there in the Terrace, stamping that location into his story. But relationships stretched beyond just one block. YP also built close ties in the Greens through people he grew up with, including Jamari Wack Cooper and Khalil Sloan Diaz. After the death of Kah, those bonds pulled him even closer to figures like Damoni Lockhart, not just a friend, but family. When both Swinton and Lockhart were lost in separate incidents, it happened while YP was incarcerated. He wasn't outside when it unfolded, but when he came home, things weren't the same. The city atmosphere had shifted, alliances had changed, and old understandings didn't hold the same weight anymore. Back in the Greens, YP became part of forming a music movement that turned pain into identity, Kah Gang. The collective included names like Kah Gang Curry, Kah Gang PB, Kah Gang Red, Hate the Great, and others from around the area. The music coming out of that circle made one thing clear: whatever alliances once existed were over. Tracks started dropping that addressed tensions directly, with diss records leaving little room for confusion about where people stood. And in some of those records, one name that surfaced, a sensitive one, was Cosmere Dorsey, showing just how personal and layered the situation had become. In July of 2022, a shooting outside the Atlas gas station on Fairfield Avenue in Bridgeport left 2 people dead: Cosmere Dorsey, who was 18, and Ramon Peguero, who was 32. The incident happened during a large dirt bike and ATV gathering with a crowd present in the area. Gunfire broke out and both men were struck. Investigators later said the shooting involved a scooter approaching before shots were fired. Arrests followed as the case moved through the court system. Jamir Daniel was charged as the shooter. His case went to trial, and in January 2025, a jury convicted him of 2 counts of murder and murder with special circumstances, along with firearm-related charges. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. 2 others were also charged in connection to events surrounding the shooting. Everton Brooks pleaded guilty and received a sentence of 7 years in prison, followed by 5 years of probation. Jack Vaz faced charges related to actions after the shooting, including evidence-related offenses. He received a fully suspended 12-year sentence, along with 5 years of probation and community service. But in the streets and in music, Dorsey's name had already started being mentioned long before the court case reached its conclusion. Tracks were already circulating, and lyrics were already referencing the situation while the legal process was still unfolding. Around this time, the name OTF Timo started circulating in connection with Connecticut after videos surfaced online showing him involved in a physical altercation while in the area. The clips spread quickly across social media, and discussion around the situation tied it back to the music relationships he had built. Timo had appeared on songs connected to members of the Kah gang circle, which led many online to speculate about how those ties played into tensions that were already present. While the exact circumstances behind the incident were never officially detailed, it became another moment where music connections and street reputations overlapped publicly. At the same time, newer groups were emerging on multiple sides. A younger generation began moving under the name YC, short for Young Chasers, with artists like YC Kai, YC Maj, and others stepping forward musically. The Greens also had a younger wave coming up through a music collective known as YFA. Artists such as Ghost Corleone, Raw Stacks, YFA Switchy, and YFA Hondo were among those representing that new generation, showing how the music side continued evolving, even as older situations remained part of the background. That generational shift showed up in the music too. In the track Walk With Me, Raw Stacks says they all used to be cool, but now they're on opposite sides. It reflects how the younger generation stepped into situations that were already there, while also dealing with new ones of their own. In a separate situation, Kah gang member Richard Davis, known in music as Kah Gang PB, lost his life in an incident reported to have happened in the city's East End, tied to events at an underground gambling location. That added another loss connected to the circle and continued a pattern of music scenes being affected by real-life events. Despite everything, the music itself continues. Artists from these circles keep recording, releasing tracks, and pushing their names forward, with younger voices stepping in as older dynamics shift. The landscape keeps changing, but the presence of these groups in the city's music conversation remains active, showing how the culture moves forward even as circumstances around it evolve. This has been another episode of Street Scene Diaries. If you think stories like this deserve to be told, leave a comment below. And if you want more real stories from real places, don't forget to like and subscribe.